Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us at Pitch Fest today. We really appreciate you being here. There's 237 people signed up to join our 10 entrepreneurs and 6 panelists, and I think you're going to have a great time. Let me explain what's going to happen, and then tell you a little bit more about Pitchforce and about People Connect. So our 10 companies have sent their executive summaries to the 6 panelists, and they've had a chance to get a sense of what the company is doing. We're going to start off with each company doing a 1-minute elevator pitch, after which we will immediately vote on a scale of 1 to 5. Some of the panelists have numbers. Most of them will be holding their fingers up, and we'll be counting, keeping track of the score. And then the top 5 vote getters only will move on to the second half of the program, which is a 4-minute PowerPoint followed by 4 minutes of questions and answers and about 8 to 10 minutes of non-rebuttal feedback. So if you make it to the finals, we're going to ask you to do something unnatural. We're going to ask you to mute yourself, because we all have problems with thinking that we're unmuted when we're not. So the reason that you're going to mute yourself is the feedback is non-rebuttal, which is a fancy way of saying you can't talk. Now, you can take notes if you'd like, if you're a presenter, but we are recording this. So everybody, including the 200 plus people who are in attendance, will get a link tomorrow with a video, and you can see that and hear all the comments from the panelists. As you'll find out in a few minutes, the panelists are really, really smart people. They're successful business people. They're making investments in the cannabis space, and they're looking for companies they can get excited about. And hopefully the companies that do well will get a meeting with the investors. That's a little bit about Pitchforce, a little bit about People Connect. I'm the founder and CEO of People Connect. We are a 21-year-old contingency boutique recruiting firm. I say we're the most unique recruiting firm in the world. And someone says, well, how in the hell can you get away with saying that, Shapiro? And let me tell you how. 2 reasons. Number 1 is we have a model we call employees without paychecks. We find people who will work for 3 months for options only while a company is closing its seed round or its A round. The other thing that makes us unique is we fill any type of position anywhere in the country at any level and in any industry. We've been placing people in the cannabis industry for approximately 3 years and 21 years in non-cannabis space, filling positions like CEO, VP of product, sales account exec, chief technology officer, you name it, we fill it. As I said, we're a boutique firm, and we like staying small so we can give our clients good personal attention. In a former life, I was a scout in the NBA. I was the youngest chief scout in the history of the NBA at age 24. In 1967, I scouted for the San Diego Rockets. I did such a great job that the team had to leave town and move to Houston. I also scouted for the Phoenix Suns, who did very well in the NBA playoffs this year. I'm very happy for the Suns. But what we're doing at People Connect is not that much different than what I was doing when I was scouting the NBA. We're looking for exceptional talent, the needle in the haystack that can make a difference for a company. You'll hear from the investors today when they talk about what's important to them in an investment. They all talk about team. Raising money is not easy. Building a great team can be harder. If you have success in your fundraising and you don't hire great people, you're not going to end up with an outstanding company. You're not going to make a lot of money for yourself. You're not going to make a difference. So we think it's really important that you hire outstanding people, and we'd love to help you do that. If anybody's interested, you can just email me. My information will be in the chat room. At this time, I want to have the panel introduce themselves. And we have a distinguished panel with some really, really bright people. They've all been with us before. And first up is Jeff Finkel, who is the CEO of ArcView and a longtime successful investor in the cannabis space and non-cannabis space. Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us a little bit about ArcView as well, please.
Sure. Thank you, Max, and thank you for putting these events on and your incredible attention to detail. Just for our background, I spent the first 18 years of my career as an operating exec in the software industry, started a venture fund serving the tech industry in 1999, and sort of got into the cannabis industry in 2018 with the launch of what has now become the ArcView Collective Fund, which is a uniquely member-managed venture fund. We have 78 members. All of them are part of the investment decision. It is committed capital but the decision is democratized over the 78 knowledgeable members. More globally, the ArcView Group, which has its roots really as an event producer where investors could meet aspiring entrepreneurs and companies in the cannabis industry, has since morphed to be an integrated financial services firm. We have a broker-dealer called ArcView Capital, which does capital raising for issuers and is about to launch a crowdfunding site. We have ArcView Ventures, which the collective fund sits under, and we're going to be launching our seed fund in Q4. And we also have ArcView Management Consulting, which provides consulting services to the industry. So we've sort of morphed from just an event producer to a fully integrated financial services firm. Please contact me if you have any interest in learning about any of those subsidiaries.
Thank you, Jeff. And next, I'd like to introduce Jen Pyro, who's with us a lot. She brings a really interesting and intelligent approach to her investing. And Jen, tell us a little bit about your background. Talk about what's important to you when you make an investment, please.
Sure. So I'm Jen Pyro. Thanks so much for having me. I'm an angel investor. I focus mostly in cannabis and psychedelics, and I'm also a member of the ArcView Collective Fund because I love kind of what they're doing, what they stand for, and helping amazing companies get the funding they need in this industry. Because it's really difficult in cannabis to raise capital because a lot of institutional money is unavailable at the time. But I think this is a great industry to be in because the big players are not here yet. It's a great place to build generational wealth. And I invest in cannabis and psychedelics because they were very life-changing for me. And I want everyone to have easy and equitable access to the amazingness that is plant medicine. And I figured if I want these products to exist, I need to be sure that I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And that's why I'm here investing in this space. Thanks for having me. And I super look forward to the pitches.
Thanks, Jen. Next up is a good friend of mine I've known for about 20 years, very successful venture capitalist, originally in the non-cannabis space, now in cannabis as well as other non-cannabis areas. F. Lindenbaum. Welcome, F.
Thank you, Max. Great event. Great to be on a panel with such distinguished colleagues of mine here. My name is F. Lindenbaum, or Ephraim Lindenbaum as it is. I'm the managing director of Advanced Ventures here in Silicon Valley. We've been investing since 1999, so one of the few remaining 99 vintage maiden funds. We invest across technology, health, and wellness, and particularly been involved in the cannabis space since 2010, becoming actively involved as investors in 2016, and are quite active across the ancillary as well as genetic space.
Great. Really appreciate your being here again. Next up here for the second time, second month in a row is Vinay Shah. Vinay, please tell us a little bit about your background.
Thanks. Thanks for having me, Max, and team. Appreciate it. So I'm a co-founder and managing partner of a fund called Green Axis Capital. We're a private equity cannabis fund. We've actually been as a team in the cannabis space since 2017. We operated and exited a company called Solo Sciences successfully and decided to start the fund after that. My background, longer term, I used to be a tech analyst, portfolio manager, research analyst, mainly in the software, internet, media space. So, I do remember the days, Jeff, of 99 and 2000 F. So it's great to be with people who have, such long tenures and, distinguished backgrounds. So really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us. Nick Easley is easily the hardest working guy in cannabis I know. He does so many things. He's so involved in so many companies that he's owner and runs, and just an incredible guy. And Nick, talk a little bit about your background and how you got started in the cannabis space and your time in the military. And thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Well, first you got to talk about my magic skills. So there's Nick. Here's Nick. He's in Pennsylvania. So yeah, working from a backyard. This last month, I've been checking in on operations throughout Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland that we're involved in. This is how long coronavirus has been going on, just in case. Nick Easley, I'm CEO, Managing Director of Multiverse Capital. Also own 3C Consulting, a company a lot more people are familiar with. So I've been in the cannabis industry for over 15 years. from Wisconsin, cryptolinguist for the United States Air Force, speak a few languages, own parts of well over 100 cannabis companies here in the United States and about 40 different companies internationally. A good friend just gave me a goodie. I doubt it used. And say this call might get interesting. Do a lot of like pre-license application work, have overseen well over about, I think it's right now about 1.2 million of different, or I'm sorry, that is 1.2 billion of capital throughout the space over this last decade and a half. Really on the forefront of markets. So dealing with everything from the ancillary businesses with our ancillary funds, hemp funds, real estate side, or direct license funds for adult use or medically licensed operators. And one of the nice things with us is like when we work with clients early on, we're able to help win licenses, sometimes pledge capital, get first position, and not just, give LP capital, but also like guidance, kind of strategic awareness, planning on their cap tables, their cap raises, what's their exit strategies really. And a lot of basic business boot camp in the startup industry full of startups, but passion driven, love four-season greenhouses, big operations in Colombia, Uruguay, Portugal, and a variety. And then in the United States, that's a whole different ballgame. So really on share, having had over 1,000 of these kind of like licensed companies in our network. Any of the feedback I give today, it might be brute, but it's true and honest because we're not guessing from this side. So really honored to be with so many other good panelists here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Last but not least, from Chicago, Lori Crosley joins us again. Lori, please tell us a little bit about your background and your involvement with ArcView.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lori Crosley. I'm a former investment banker and investment management executive. My journey in cannabis, in the legal cannabis market, started in 2019 as an angel investor in a company called Village, which is a spin out of Viola, founded by Al Harrington and Dan Pettigrew. I'm also a ArcView member of the member managed fund. Over the past 2 years, I've been working with my colleagues to vet companies and bring more inclusion into the industry. So focusing on companies that have either people of color or women founders or teams that are diverse and really sort of showcase the power of diversity that we can bring to the cannabis space. So I'm excited to see all of the attendees today and look forward to giving you my feedback.
Great. Thanks so much for being here, Lori. Okay, it's time to get started. With the companies are listed in alphabetical order, but if you're looking at our flyer, you'll see that the company pitching first should be last. But Doug Siegel with Zolt, his son is graduating from high school 3 months late. So we moved him up so he could make that his son's graduation. So Doug Siegel with Zolt, you've got a minute. Please begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Doug Siegel, co-founder and CEO of Zolt. Our team has spent almost 20 years in the beverage industry and building direct-to-consumer brands. Zolt is a hemp-derived and hemp-inspired plant-powered beverage company that's mastered the art of flavor and function, blending terpene botanicals, hemp, and adaptogens to provide mood-enhancing and experiential beverage products. Consumers are shifting their attention to better-for-me beverage products, and our timing is perfect. We know most better-for-you beverages typically taste horrible and lack efficacy in formulation. What we've created is a solve for both. Think super drinks that combine hemp, terpene botanicals, adaptogens, antioxidants, and mushrooms into a delicious beverage experience. Zolt is the next generation beverage that's mindful of the consumer palate and delivers a truly better for you beverage experience. We have tremendous traction and will be launching in September with Bed Bath Beyond, Amazon.com, followed by Target.com and Rite-Aid.com in November. Our 6-month run rate should hit 7 figures.
You're out of time, Doug. You're out of time. Your minute is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Panel, if you're ready to vote on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We've got 4, 4, 4. That's 12, and 3 is 15, 18. And Lori, I didn't catch yours. 18 and 4, 22. Very good score. Before we get on to the next company, I want to introduce Will McLaughlin, who has been helping us run Pitch Forces, putting them together for several months, and he's going to be leaving. He's starting his senior year at Cal next week, and joining us to take his place is Stephen Pavlik, who is in his junior year at Miami University of Ohio, and they have a great program where they bring students out to the Bay Area to intern. So we're glad to have Stephen join us, and we will miss Will. All right, next up is Leah Daniels with Alchemy League. Welcome, Leah.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Great. My name is Leah Daniels, and I am the founder of Alchemy League, a recreational retail dispensary set to open this fall with an experienced leadership team. I am a licensed general contractor and a code compliance inspector, and I am the first Black, female, gay veteran to own a vertically integrated medical cannabis license in the state of Massachusetts. Why? To increase access to plant medicine and economically empower the local community. Currently, my traction, I am the first gift mentor, a program that mentors cannabis entrepreneurs. Our revenue will be generated by selling THC and CBD. My exit strategy, our goal is for our business to serve as a framework for other minority-owned cannabis businesses. My ask, 1.6 million with an 11% return on your investment in 3 years. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Leah. Okay, you guys ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. We got a 4 and 3 is 7, and I see another 7, 14, and a 5, 14 and 8, 22. Is that right, Will?
I believe it's a 21, if I'm correct.
All right, let's do it again. Okay, let's do it again. We've got 5 and 7 is 12, and
I upgraded, Max.
okay. All
I
right.
wanted to make you right.
All right. Okay, we're at 20. We're at 22 then. Thank you. Okay, next up, I want to welcome in Simone with Cannabis Capital. Welcome, Simone. We're ready when you are.
Hello, my name is Simone Kason, and I'm the owner of Cannabis Capital Securities. Social equity does not work. Why? Because it doesn't target our biggest hurdle, which is access to capital. Cannabis Capital Securities is an interstate broker-dealer that focuses on raising capital for local cannabis businesses in racial equity zones in the state of Michigan. Our team has over 75 years of expertise and experience. Michigan marijuana market is the fastest growing market in the United States. Year over year, we have produced 123% and is expected to do $1 billion by the end of 2021. Our blueprint and business model can expand to other legalized states. We are asking for $1 million for 20% stake in our company. Won't you help us bridge the gap of generational wealth in the green rush?
Thank you so much. Okay, ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. We got 4 and 3 is 7, and 7 is 14, and 7 is 21. Nice score. We got a lot of high scores. Okay, next up is Ziad with Harvest Direct from Seattle. Welcome, Ziad.
Hello, thank you guys for having us. So my name is Ziad Garib. I'm the founder and CEO of Harvest Direct. We make non-smoked cannabis products that are as close to the flower as possible. Our patented technology, Lacey, can decarb and infuse while preserving the unique effects of each strain, also known as the entourage effect. We're raising $3 million at a 30 mil valuation, and our round is currently more than halfway full. With these funds, we're going to file new IP and launch our brands, and also we plan to franchise them. The overarching goal for us is to replace drugs like Ambien with Bubba Kush, to replace drugs like OxyContin with Blue Dream, drugs like Adderall with Thai Stick. We are the gatekeepers between big pharma and the entourage effect, and that gives us serious unicorn potential. We're excited for the future and we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Z. Okay, ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. We got 4 and 3 is 7, and 2 is 9, and 9 and 8 is 17, and 3 is 20. That look right, Will?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All right, next up, let's welcome in Harris Ross with the LC Holdings Group. Welcome. And Rick is going to be presenting from heaven.
See, the problem is I needed to work the Ambien.
Rick, we're ready when you are.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon. Today, cannabis consumers have literally thousands of product options to choose from, yet few tools to help them determine the right cannabis product for their needs. Advertising restrictions necessitate that most purchase decisions are made based on the recommendation of a bud tender, with little confidence in the product they're buying. Heaven is an AI-powered mobile application designed to present cannabis consumers with personalized product recommendations and purchase options in the comfort of their home. We are non-plant touching, relying upon our network of dispensary and brand partners to handle order fulfillment. We are a performance-based marketing solution earning a small fee for each transaction. Our 90-day Los Angeles pilot drove over $500,000 in incremental revenue and over 7,000 transactions for our 3 retail partners. We are led by Steve Hansen, who has over 20 years of digital experience across 5 major exits totaling over $6 billion in enterprise value created, supported by Jeremy O'Deo Technology and myself with strategy. We expect to be acquired within 36 months at a value of in excess of 100 million and are seeking a price round of $1 million.
Thank you. Okay, guys, ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. We got 3, 6, 8, and 4 is 12, and 3 is 15, and 4 is 19. Thanks, Rick. Okay, now Harris with LC Holdings.
Hi, I'm Harris Ross, co-founder of LC Holdings Group, a vertically integrated direct-to-consumer delivery and distribution company with 3 licenses based in Culver City. We're right in the heart of West LA, the largest and most populous county in the US and the largest cannabis market in the world. Our team has been in the California cannabis space since 2009, from cultivation to manufacturing to branding to delivery. We have participated in every step and have taken that knowledge and also leveraged our extensive big data and technology backgrounds to create the world's most customer-centric cannabis delivery service. Our initial pilot in a small Northern California market reached over 1,000 deliveries a month in under 90 days. Our average order was around $100 and our customer acquisition costs were under $5 with 40% repeat business. We also have exciting brand partnerships with Bob Weir's Sweetwater Music Hall and the co-founders of Supreme. We're seeking $1.5 million in equity investment at a $15 million valuation with half that money committed to launch and scale our operations in LA. Thank you.
Thanks, right on time. Thank you, Harris. You guys ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. I got 4, and 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 3 is 16. Thanks, Harris. Okay, next up is Mike with Mariposa Technology. Welcome, Mike.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Begin when you're ready, please.
Great. My name is Michael Dallaimole, and I'm the COO of Mariposa Technology. I have a groundbreaking solution for the largest issue facing hemp farmers today, ensuring that their crops remain below the mandated 0.3% total THC threshold. Using our software as a service protocol, farmers can identify THC levels of living hemp plants on site and on demand with just 20 minutes of training on a handheld device. Our digital farming tool puts more control into the hands of farmers than ever before and will end the wasteful destruction of up to 25% of hemp crops that go hot each season. Our team of seasoned executives, scientists, and technology experts is developing a commercial service based on a revolutionary protocol for the testing of live hemp plants. Using a per acre subscription model, we expect annual revenues of 10 million plus by 2024. Currently, we have an exclusive agreement with Texas A&M's AgriLife Research Center to expand our database and further prepare for commercialization. We are seeking a $1.2 million equity investment to help us disrupt the hemp testing industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. We got 4. 4 is 8. And another 8 is 16. So we got 5 times 4 is 20, 22. That 22 is a very popular number. There's 3 companies tied for first with 22. Nice job, Mike. Okay, let's welcome up now Mike Simpson with Omura. We're ready when you are, Mike. You're muted. Mike, you're muted.
Textbook mistake, my apologies. Hopefully you can put the clock back. Hey guys, I'm Mike Simpson, co-founder and CEO of Omura. Currently, smoking cannabis is dirty and smelly. Omura is changing this. Our heat not burn platform is disrupting the cannabis industry as the cleanest and most convenient way to consume whole flower cannabis. Omura's flower sticks are pre-packed with an exact amount of whole flower and they're optimized for use with our devices, giving unparalleled efficacy, hygiene, and convenience. There is simply no better way to consume whole flower cannabis. Omura is a non-plant touching technology company created with scalability in mind. We are revenue generating, have successfully launched across the US with 18 brands on the platform now and another 10 in the pipeline. We will be expanding into Canada and Europe in the next 3 months. Our founders come from British American Tobacco, the Apple Space, and Philips Electronics. With our business model now proven, we have recently closed 4 of a $5 million round and looking for 1 million more to help support our near-term geographical expansion. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Guys ready to vote? 1, 2. We've got 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we got a 5, 15, and 7 is 19, and 3 is, believe it or not, 22, if I'm right. Lots of 22s.
Like the Illinois dispensary scoring here.
That's funny. All right, we got 2 more companies that are going to present. Next up is Amber Carter with Second Sun Systems. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you, guys. Hi. Let's grow healthier marijuana while we fight the climate change and feed our beloved plants with sunshine instead of fake food. Hello, my name is Amber Carter, the CEO of Second Sun System Incorporated. Founded by inventor Sukhbir Saki Singh and myself, we're a capitalist impact company built around a patented technology innovation that we own. This infrastructure-related system can earn carbon credits by replacing high-intensity grow lamps with our technology. Solar lighting has received an upgrade. Our system starts the process of photosynthesis in an enclosed room or shaded area outdoors. Think how the pyramids of Giza were lit by the sun's rays. We will sell the system, its assembly, and installation, all while being able to offer carbon credit offsets to help scale rural farmers across America then the globe. We're looking for $2 million to commercialize our technology innovation that will revolutionize the world.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Ready to vote? 1, 2, 3. We've got, let's see, 8 and 5 is 13, 14 and 3 is 17. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Our last presenter is Akinyi with the KIF Room. Welcome in, Akinyi. You're muted.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please begin.
All right. Last week, I made a spontaneous trip to my local dispensary. As I looked down their long menu, I struggled to make a decision on what to buy, but I finally narrowed it down to 3 strains: Swamp Dog, Cheese Whiz, and Trainwreck. I thought to myself, there needs to be a more inclusive and accessible way for me to buy cannabis comfortably. My name is Akinyi. I'm the CEO and founder of the KIF Room, where we are developing Massachusetts' first dispensary with delivery service, helping women aged 26 to 39 buy cannabis and have it delivered to their home using a mobile app. The Cannabis Consumers Coalition reported that women now use cannabis more than men, with 53% having tried it compared to just 42% of men. In 2020, the Massachusetts cannabis industry made over $600 million, and yet there aren't many companies serving women. I'm a freelance designer. I've worked on numerous tech startups and recently participated in a cannabis accelerator. I put together a diverse team with senior experience in the tech startup and cannabis industries. And to help us build and scale, we're raising $800,000 for a safe.
Thank you. Okay, ready to vote for the last time. 1, 2, 3. We got 3, 3, 6, and 4 is 10, and 6 is 16, and 4 is 20. Good score. Okay, Will, if you would go over the scores, please.
Of course. Okay. So first up, we had Doug Siegel with Zolt. He's 22. Leah Daniels with Alchemy League with 22 as well. Simone Casson with 21. That was with Canis Capital. Zayed Garib with Harvest Direct at 20. Rick Dilday with 19 with Heaven. Harris Ross with LC Holdings Group with 16. Mike Dalimole with Mariposa Technology with 22. Mike Simpson with Omura with 22. Amber Carter with Second Sun Systems with 17. Akinyi Otieno with the KIF Room at 20.
Okay, wow, we had a lot of high scores, a lot of good companies, and unfortunately only the top 5 were going to be able to make it. 2 companies that had 20 out of 30, which is a great score, did not make the cut, came very close: KIF Room and Harvest Direct. So the companies that will be pitching, and they'll pitch in this order, will be Zolt, Alchemy League, Canis Capital, Mariposa Technology, and Omura. So congratulations to those 5 companies, and to the 5 that didn't make it, I'm sorry, but we hope to see you at some time in the future. We've had companies come back and do really well that didn't make the cut the first time. Okay, so Doug, you're going to be up first, and if you come on and share your screen, and once you get your deck up, we'll be ready to get started.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Hold on one second here.
Okay, we are ready when you are.
Give me one more moment here. I'm sorry. All right, I'm ready in 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Siegel, co-founder and CEO of Zolt. We know people do better and feel better when their body is in balance. What would the world look like if people could find wellness in an easy and frictionless format? At Zolt, our passion began with my own pathway to betterment. Our mission is simple: solve what's missing in people's lives with the amazing ability for people to find betterment and activate their own betterment and survival genes by ingesting adaptogens, including hemp in a powdered beverage format. Our portfolio of functional beverages include hemp-derived and hemp-inspired products to create plant-powered super drinks. No other consumer beverage brand has developed products that are designed to replicate a sativa, a hybrid, or an indica terpene experience, bringing the best of hemp and cannabis forward. Our management team has had direct experience in beverage alcohol, product formulation, direct-to-consumer brands, storytelling, and creative to bring forward a vision of betterment. Now more than ever, people battle stress, fatigue, anxiety, and chronic inflammation. We've created products to help solve for these. Consumers choose Zolt because we artfully solve the complex challenge to make plants taste delicious and do it in an efficacious manner. Whether it's poor sleep, anxiety, stress, autoimmune disease, plants solve for what ails us. Our reviews tell the story. On July 21st, I've always depended on OTC pills. They help me fall asleep, and I worry what they do to my organs. This product is magic. Our traction to date, excuse me, my apologies. We have signed an exclusive partnership with ChemiNutra to leverage their Alpha Size and Serenade products when terpenes are added to beverage. These help our brand and help us call out product claims. Whether it's scientific studies, know-how, we get to use that in developing our portfolio and communicating to consumers. Next month, we launch with Amazon.com, Bed Bath & Beyond, followed by RiteAid.com and Target.com. We have 11 unique products and 13 SKUs, including our 2 gateway products. Talk about competition. We look at Hydrant, Liquid IV, Goldie, and Hum Nutrition as our competitors, but no one is looking at botanicals, hemp, and adaptogens as a solution for consumers. We believe the opportunity in functional beverage is sizable at roughly $12.3 billion in the US alone. And given our unique position and public company inquiries into what we are doing with very little revenue to date, we know we've built the mousetrap, and we have a plan for a 3 to 4 year exit with a 7 to 12 multiple on invested capital. We see beverage alcohol, i.e. Diageo, Remy Cointreau, Constellation, CPG, or private equity as potential suitors. Our revenue model includes search, Facebook, Instagram, affiliate marketing, sponsored content, word of mouth, obviously retail distribution, and brand partnerships. Our 2021 revenue runway is going to hit $850,000. We expect 2022 to be 3.3 and 2023 to be 7.75 million. Beyond that, we're not comfortable at this point giving numbers. Our gross margin is roughly 74%. We're looking for $1.5 million to facilitate customer acquisition, hire an awesome team to continue our growth, inventory, and continued investment in our tech stack. This should fund our business for the next 18 months. Our break-even will absolutely be a derivation of customer acquisition, accelerating or decelerating that. While it's difficult to predict at this point, it's likely we would pursue a secondary raise of up to $5 million. What we've created is the perfect next generation beverage that meets consumers' demand for enjoyment and betterment. Why don't you join us? Let's talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug, I've got the first question. What's the deal for investors? You told us how much you were raising, but is it a convertible note? Is it a price round? What are the terms?
It's equity. It's a preferred return of 3%. And we are.
What's the pre-money?
Pre-money is 5.8 million. Post is 8.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Questions from the panel? Yes, Vinay.
Hey, Doug. So, with these distribution agreements, I'm just wondering, did you, because I think Amazon, I don't know Bed Bath. I know Amazon, carries a bunch of CBD hemp products. Can you just talk about how you got these relationships? Is there anything exclusive in any of them for any period of time? Can you just go into the distribution strategy? Because that's so critical, obviously.
Sure. We signed a deal with Bed Bath Beyond for an exclusive up till November 30th to launch the portfolio in store, which obviously prevents us from being in store at other locations, which is why we're actively pursuing the .com strategy. So, in terms of our acquisition of these large retailers, I think it's absolutely the fact that we're solving for what consumers are thinking about in functional beverage, and where retailers are looking is for innovation and next generation thinking, given where the marketplace is. So when we talk about botanicals and we talk about cannabis or we talk about hemp, and we tell them that there's no hemp and there's no cannabis, but we can provide the mood altering and enhancing experience, that is 4D at its finest in terms of communicating to this audience. This is not 3D beverage, this is 4D beverage. And the fact that we're functionally able to deliver efficacious dosages of fungi and adaptogens and make it taste like the fruitiest beverage you've ever had is art, science, and we're very proud of what we've created.
Okay, other questions? Jeff.
Is your positioning out of the gate going to be more about a functional beverage or a hemp extract beverage?
Initially, we were a hemp extract beverage. We've pivoted to be a functional beverage with line of sight, knowing that we've got to have a Trojan horse approach to getting to mass market. And with the brand name and the brand presence in market coming behind allows us to really deliver in 18 months or 2 years' time, the CBD and the hemp portfolio. Remember, for me, I spent almost 20 years in alcoholic beverage. I understand we don't want to fight the Department of Treasury and government agencies. Let's not wait at this point. Let's get the brand in position to drive growth. And we believe that the botanicals and the terpene experience are absolutely going to make that happen.
Other questions? Yes, Lori?
Can you go a little bit deeper into your team, their expertise, and specifically getting onto more platforms?
Sure. So our team is currently comprised of 8 people. Ani Kala, my co-founder and chief marketing officer, has spent almost 20 years building direct-to-consumer brands. I'm more the science and the technical side of what we're developing and what we're doing. Our creative director has been involved in developing products or creating products, visually appealing products for almost 20 years. And our team behind that is all, 25 to 35-year-old management that absolutely understands how to convey and message to our audience, and certainly to an audience that includes the likes of Bed Bath Beyond, Amazon, Rite Aid, and Target.
And have you done any testing on the efficacy of your product?
In what regard?
Just living up to its claims.
Yes. So what we've done is all of our claims are a derivation of the actives that we've loaded into the products, Lori. So when we talk about brain function, cognition, we're leveraging the science and the know-how from ChemiNutra to make that claim. We're doing a lot of art up front. The science isn't there yet. If the science were there, we would be commoditized. So for us, it was very important to have a partner that could help us build a credibility on the structure of efficacy beyond the adaptogens, whether we're loading GABA or whether we're loading lion's mane or cordyceps. It was important to have that in order to substantiate and position. So Serenade and Alpha Size give us that opportunity.
Okay, last question from F.
Yeah.
Thank you. F?
Yeah. So very familiar with all of this. I guess my overarching question, since one of our companies is kind of a leader in mushroom tech, why even throw the CBD story in, open up a can of worms there when you're just moving with the fundamental nutritional nutraceutical story on mushrooms opens the door? That's one. Second quick question. Why so many distribution sources instead of going out to one and getting it right?
Thank you. So first, we started off with CBD and hemp and full spectrum hemp. As I said earlier, for us, the gateway to get to retail, the gateway to get to the audience, the friction on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google, on ads, absolutely constrains our ability to get to market. The pivot to retail makes sense for us, leveraging hemp and cannabis byproducts. So you got terpenes, botanicals, terpenes, cannabinoids, and flavonoids. Why not leverage the part of the plant that's easy for us and our science and our background to create innovation and differentiation? As it relates to going out to retail, we know that we can advance an agenda very quickly to get traction in market and crowd out the space that's getting more crowded. So at some point, we will pivot and then start to add CBD and full spectrum. Last point is we're ready and prepared to get into the RTD business. And that's where the fun really begins for us long-term.
Okay, Doug, we're out of time for questions. If you would mute yourself now.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll start the feedback. It'll be Jeff, Jen, F, Vinay, Nick, and we'll finish up with Lori on the first round. Jeff, you're up first, please.
You were very well explained, so thank you for that. And that's not something I often say. I'm not sure, my whole question about the positioning as well as F's follow-on really, it doesn't seem like a CBD drink really. It's really a functional beverage. That's good. I'm just not sure how it distinguishes properly. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that came across. Why is this going to be unique? There are plenty of functional beverages out there. I do give you kudos for lighting up that distribution if you have those agreements. Really my comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Jen?
Hi, yeah, really interesting presentation. I think a lot of us are intrigued by getting that that contract with Target because they've been very resistant to ingestible CBD. So I'd love to know more about how you guys are navigating that. From your pitch, although it was a little confusing for me, like was this a CBD product or not? Because just when I thought, oh, there's CBD in it, you would say something about how you were kind of going away from that to try to go more towards the adaptogens. I was like, oh, maybe there isn't CBD. I was a little confused there. And I wonder if, consumers will be the same thing, right? Like, because we all in the industry speak this language, but consumers don't really know the difference. And a lot of them, if they don't clearly see CBD on the package, they're going to say, oh, there's no CBD in it. So that was just one thing that stood out to me. But again, I think it's really interesting the way you're going with the online strategy. And I would love to see how that ends up playing out. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you. F?
Yeah, so I thought it was a great pitch, very impressive. Been doing functional beverages on my side for years, had a huge exit in 2010. So I might know just a tiny little bit about it, and I was super impressed with your presentation. I think the fundamentals that my colleagues brought up, particularly Jen, is super meaningful. You got to sort of pick a side of the river here and stay on it and get used to it, which is you're either, a hemp product or a non-hemp product. I think you can go either way. I think there's rationale, but don't kind of stay on both sides. You're going to stretch out and break in the middle, number one. Number two, just having been a beverage person, what I can tell you is controlled distribution is your best friend, right? Trying to go out to a broad set of, distribution sources early on in a product is not effective. What you really want to do is be in a location where you can do, number one, where you can do, demos, store demos, which are very hard during COVID. You need to move product. It's one thing to ship a product to the store. It's another for them to reorder your product. The last thing you want is to put a product at a God knows Bed Bath and Beyond and God knows where with no one pointing to it, and then try and figure out a way of digitally or some other ways getting them there. There's a reason why you see an old lady at Trader Joe's trying to stuff a little sausage bite in your mouth, because that is the way you sell products in retail with food and beverage, right? So pick it, Trader Joe's, go to Bevmo, Wine Direct, pick something where you're in an environment and you're allowed to do in-store demos, because other than that, you could ship them all you want. A, it's going to cost you a ton of money. B, breakage is crazy. And three, if it doesn't move, they'll never let you back on the shelf. So I would really encourage a deeper thought. Go get some real controlled beverage folks in there, some brokers that know how to do a controlled managed rollout, because a small success in a regional area is worth 100 times more than a marginal success in a large area.
Thank you. Vinay?
Yeah, so I like the presentation, Doug. One thing that I think just from a presentation standpoint, as I missed a financials page. I know you talked about the revenues, unless I missed it, and you kind of went fast through some of the pages. So I would, if you're doing kind of a shorter presentation for people, I would sort of slow it down or take out some slides. But from a strategic point of view, I think, and I think Jeff touched on it, I just did a quick search on Amazon for hemp, beverages and, hemp additives. And, I just got pages and pages of stuff. So I think that positioning of what hasn't worked maybe in the market or what's special about your product, I heard lots of, good words like adaptogens and stuff, but I think just kind of bringing that to something more concrete for people might be helpful. So, but generally I like the presentation.
Thank you. All right, Nick.
Super, thanks for the opportunity here. Yeah, after your comments, genius, as always. Some other great comments from the team. Just a couple things like, homeschooled by a botanist for a good amount of like middle school, way into medicinal mushrooms. One risk profile, especially now, no offense, Jen, on your side, like with the psychedelic side, it's like do one illegal weird thing at a time, at least in our opinion on that side. But, just be careful with the risk profile when talking about some of that. The super drinks, like the taste, the efficacy. If you're doing something with Vertosa or someone else where it's standardized, like knowing about those sorts of agreements. Whenever I hear Amazon, Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm like, and you're doing something Snoop and Martha Stewart, and you got this cool thing going on with Coca-Cola. I start to get a little worried about that because like if you're raising if you're pre-money 5.8 mil, asking for what you're asking, some equity, some preferred returns. I'm like, you need way more capital to be able to ramp up production because the problem is you're going to get these huge contracts, potentially. You're not going to be able to service those contracts. And then you're going to just like I've said, you can't fulfill one order. It's all about consistency. So the best efficacious, the best product, you got Rishi, Chaga, and Nokataki, Maitake's in there. You've got everything magical and good. Ashwagandha, turmeric, capsaicin, you name it. And this amazing tasting product. Beverages are going to be key on the hemp and the non-psychoactive side, like the THC, both sides. So I'd love to see more on that. You're not asking for enough money. There is a lot of competition in the space. Rite Aid and all these names, they scare me if you're not raising enough capital. So if you got something truly unique, IP like protected, how can you brand license that quickly, efficiently, or bring this to a contract manufacturer who can actually make this thing for you? You're not buying bottling lines, heat pressurized sealing label things, 60K, 100K, so you got something cool, but you're not raising enough cap at the value of your potential revenue, like 7 figures in 6 months for those sorts of contracts is terrifying. So those are my first comments, but I do think you got something potentially unique here, but that's the feedback I've got for you.
Thanks, Nick. Lori?
I hate going last because everyone's pretty much said what I was gonna say. But I would just caution you to stay focused, right? Like it really does feel like you made a shift because you had an opportunity to get into some of these big box retailers. Stay true. If the product is good and you can't sell it on Amazon, you could certainly sell it through some of the wellness channels, as well as in some of the dispensaries that are looking for unique product right now. So that would be my only.
Thank you. And Laura, you won't go last all the time. We'll be rotating.
I know.
All right. So we're going to vote one more time. 1, 2, 3. We got 2, 5, and 6 is 11, and 6 is 17. Hey, Doug, a couple of things before you go. One is you got a lot of kudos on the pitch, and I would agree with the verbal aspects of that, but your slides were not keeping up with what you're saying. So I can't listen to you and look at a slide that has nothing to do with what you're saying. So you may want to work on that a little bit. And the other thing is, you said you gave a projection for like 2 years. You didn't want to go any further than that. Investors want to see, if this is going to be a $8 million company in 3 years, who cares? And if you can do a 5-year projection that shows a very optimistic number, which nobody will believe, and if they cut in half, it still looks like it's a good investable deal, you want to use that just to be able to say, we can't project that out more than 2 years. is like you
Terrible.
need to be able to do that. You're not going to get investors excited if you say, I have no clue where we're going to be in 3 or 5 years. You know, you can have it. We know it's a guess. We know it's not exact, but if you can throw a number out there and say, look, with the right investment from the right investors and are doing the right blocking and tackling, we've got a shot. My suggestion. Okay.
Listen to Max.
Thank you, Ed. All right, we are ready to move on to the second company, Leah, with Alchemy League. Please share your deck, and we look forward to your pitch.
I can't see myself, but I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can see you and hear you, and we can see your deck and we can see you. So please.
Okay, great. Then I'll just get started. Good afternoon. My name is Leah Daniels, and I am the founder of Alchemy League, a recreational retail dispensary with the mission to increase access to plant medicine and to economically uplift my local community. Alchemy League will sell a wide range of products made by and for this very diverse community. Our dispensary is located next to the only train station in Holyoke, Mass, which runs from Vermont to Springfield. We are set to open this fall. My management team, I am a licensed general contractor, a licensed construction inspector with experience in concrete, soils, and epoxy grout, and an experienced grant writer. I am also the first African-American female gay veteran to own a vertically integrated medical cannabis license in the state of Massachusetts. I've invested $350,000 of my own funds into this business, partially generated through my natural CBD hair product line, designed by, for, and with people of color, currently being sold in 4 states. Edmund Tucker is my CEO with a background in sales, operations, services, and end-to-end supply chain management. Sid Griffith is my COO, a cannabis business development consultant and a community organizer with a background in social consumption-friendly events. The problem in the cannabis industry is the lack of equity and inclusion, not only for people of color, but for other minorities and underrepresented communities, including veterans and especially those with disabilities. Alchemy League will sell a wide range of products made by and for this very diverse community. Our target market is seniors, veterans, LGBTQ, BIPOC, and local Holyoke community residents. My current traction, well, let me start. We are the first mentee of Green Industry Funded Training, GIFT, a program I started so that Alchemy League and other economically empowered candidates get the support and mentorship needed to launch and operate in the legal industry. Some of our differentiators include offering our customers the opportunity to meet with healthcare and wellness professionals who offer consultations based on our consumers' needs. We also have a program designed to support those who struggle with addiction and pain management, the miseducation of cannabis. Our revenue model will be generated by selling and reselling THC and CBD products and other related products on our shelves and at other dispensaries. My exit strategy, well, I don't have one actually. Our goal is for Alchemy League's business model and partnerships to serve as a framework for other minority-owned cannabis businesses and to support them with assimilating into the industry. Our ask is 1.6 million with a return on your investment in 3 years. Here now to save our community. When you got pain to ease. You best believe the best weed comes from Alchemy League. Thank you very much for your time and attention. God bless you.
Great pitch, Leah. Thank you so much. Love your enthusiasm. Nick.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. Leah Daniels, you know, the world's going to know your name even more than it does already. I appreciate all you do, fellow vet myself. Thanks for your service. Thanks for going through all of the CCC's BS over the last years and that process. You putting in 350K, awesome. Quick question. I'll have plenty of feedback for you, but 1.6 mil at 11% return on investment. I need, you know, even though I'm connected on ethos, pathos, logos with everything you're doing, For me to get my investment committee to say yes, I need to know what 1.6 mil, like sources and uses of funds, how are you going to use that capital? And that 11%, is that like on a debt based or a convertible note? Could you just go over that a little bit more for me, please?
Sure, I will do it to the best of my ability. I have a chief financial officer, which is his expertise. I wish that I could have had him present today, but let me make it quick. The reason why I'm asking for 11% return on the investment is because I'm really not looking for anyone that wants to share my equity. That's going to change the direction that I'm trying to lead my community right now in the cannabis industry. I'm willing to go all the way up to 19 to 20% return on your investment over a 3-year turnaround time. And that is based on, I want to make sure that my direction stays focused for the community based on which I'm trying to deliver.
Okay, other questions that answer the question? Yes, Lori and then Jeff. You're muted, Lori.
Sorry. Leah, girl, that was an awesome presentation. Let me just tell you, it was very entertaining.
Thank you.
So when Nick talks about uses, what are you going to do with the 1.6? Number one. Number two, what is your expansion strategy? I'm from Chicago. I don't know where Holy Oak or Holy whatever is located, but if this is a great investment and I'm an equity investor, I want to travel with you to where you go. And then the third is, do you have any other applications in other states?
So the 1.6 million, $700,000 of that is going to go towards acquisitioning an entire block, which is right next door to the only train station in Holyoke, Massachusetts. There's going to be $500,000 that's also going to go towards my operation costs, to make sure that my shelves are stocked and that I have enough products on my shelves to make sure that people are interested. The other startup costs, I have 6 other applications that have been approved through the state of Massachusetts. One is for courier delivery. The other one is for wholesale delivery. The other application that's in queue is for a research license. My vertical integration medical marijuana license will be is approved and will be issued to me this month. I also have in queue, which was my first license, was a research license because I am looking to make sure that I differentiate myself in my community. We have a hair product line and a product line that we provide for our community of color. We call it for kinks and curls. It's a natural locking gel. It's a black soap shampoo. It's a hair conditioner. And this is something that we have had on shelves for the last 3 years. We're sold now in 4 separate states and in 4 different salons, and salons are coming and calling daily. And so we are amping up and gearing up to put our products on shelves in salons.
Leah, shorter answers if you
Okay,
can.
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Jeff?
So I've got a lot of feedback too. I'm going to save that for the feedback section. So the one question I would just press, so who's running the hair business? I'm investing in you to run cannabis business.
So
why are you doing 2 things?
So the products that are going to be on our shelves are being created by another cannabis cohort that we are affiliated with. It's called Queen Cures. So they are doing all of the production of those products. It's just an affiliate of Alchemy League, and that's the products that we're going to put on our shelves first.
So is that product out in the marketplace now?
It's in 4 states currently right now: New York, Massachusetts, Georgia, and North Carolina.
And what kind of revenue?
To date, 350,000. Soon to move forward as quickly as we can get our manufacturing ramped up.
Got it. Jen, did you have a question?
I did. Because you said vertically integrated, that makes me think you guys also have your own cultivation and grow. Is that true? And you're going to do your own products, or are you guys sourcing that from someone else in your community?
So in the state of Massachusetts, in order to become vertically integrated, you really don't have to have 100,000 square foot of canopy. So what we're going to start with, in order to make sure that we complete our requirements for the state, we're going to start off with a small little strain, which we call the Roxbury. So we're going to start off with 200, 300 square foot of canopy. We have a product that we're going to manufacture, which is our hair product line. And we also have our location, which is in Holyoke. So we're starting off small, prepared to grow big.
Okay. If there are no other questions, we will switch to feedback. And this time, Jen's going to start F Vinay, Nick, Lori, and we'll finish up with Jeff. Jen, you're up first, please.
Great, thanks so much. Again, I'm just gonna echo awesome pitch. The point of a pitch is to get a meeting. And I think everybody's kind of nodding along that like they want to hear more about this. So you don't have to get everything about your business into that pitch. You just really want it to be a commercial for how amazing your company is. And that was a great example of one. I definitely want you to play up, just like Nick mentioned, that you have put a lot of money into this business, but especially that you've put a lot of this money into this business from your CBD business, because CBD is an extremely crowded space. And if you're crushing it and killing it over there enough to self-fund a THC license, that is to be commended. And that also just really speaks to like your experience as an entrepreneur. So I definitely want you to play that up. I think another slide in your deck that lists all the licenses you have is going to be amazing, especially to help frame the Massachusetts market to those of us that don't know it, to just really showcase like how much potential you guys here. Because if you can control all of this from seed to delivery, that's really huge. And I think that positions you ahead of a lot of your competitors. So I'd love to see that a little more forward in your deck. And I completely lost my train of thought there because I was just thinking about how awesome this is. So I'm going to leave it at that and pass it on to the next person. Thanks.
Thanks, Jen. F?
Yeah, so first, super impressed with the enthusiasm, super impressed with just the standout gumption, for lack of a better word, that you're putting behind it. I really love it. The first thing I'm going to say is you don't need to stack a lot of other stuff on top of this. This is a great story. You don't need to tell me you're a contractor. You don't need to tell me you're going to buy a block. Really just staying with this being a great idea delivered by a great entrepreneur, regardless from where or how it came. To us, especially coming out of the San Francisco Bay Area, makes all the difference in the world. So to me, saving all the time and energy associated with putting, a lot of labels or things around it, I think, isn't even necessary. You're an impressive entrepreneur as a standalone. And to me, bringing this deal to the table, you don't have to say anything more, right? I think staying focused on the deal, keeping it as sharp and focused on, simple, straightforward aspects of the business makes a ton of sense. You are a way capable person. The one thing that's about the venture business, it's all about narrow focus, right? Do something small, nail it, get it right. Do the next thing a little bigger, nail it, get it right. Because if you do that for folks like us, we invest, you nail it and get it right, we're the first one in line to write you the next check. You know what I mean? So to me, the first thing is, hey, you don't have to tell me anything else than what you're doing because it's impressive enough. 2, focus it down in really manageable, not too many pieces, and really get it into the point where, we can write you a check and you can execute and you'll come back for more and we'll be happy to write you another check.
Thanks, F. Vinay?
Yeah, I thought it was a very, very strong presentation, Leah, and I echo, Jen, saying, you definitely want to highlight you're investing your own money. You've had some success in other businesses. I think my overall feedback is just to make it a little simpler in a way. I think some people are saying that is that, just say, look, I'm starting this business. I've had success before. I've got a great team. I got a little confused when you start talking about, the CBD business and then this mentor business. So I would just kind of hit people 1, 2, 3. You had nice financial projections in there, right? And the bigger question I have is, how do we get equity in this business, right? So that's another thing to think about. This is structured as a loan. It looks like you may want to think about giving up some equity or doing like a convertible note, which could have, some debt components, some equity components. Because to F's point, I think, if this is as successful as we all think it could be, then people are going to ask you to expand this into other states, and you're going to want those equity owners behind you to put in next money at higher valuations, et cetera. But I thought it was very strong overall.
Thank you, Nick. Where's Nick? Where's Waldo?
I'm coming here. Leah, you rock. You got my Tyrannosaurus Rex approval. So very familiar with the Holyoke program. done a lot of like cultivation licenses there. One of the things to really consider that I like about this is that having delivery and being able to undercut actually many of the dispensary companies in Holyoke near Springfield, right across the border north of Connecticut. It was an area we key focused on about 3-4 years ago. CCC has been madness. I would love to see you also hopefully are doing this. Like the social equity program for delivery licenses is the most valuable aspect of the entire Massachusetts program. Very few have been issued, Backbase, Boston's, but I'd love to think that if you're doing vertical, 1.6, totally not enough cap to do what you're trying to do. I know you've got strong financials, totally makes sense to me. Even those that have Jurassic thinking could make sense of this. But realistically, I would love to talk with you about the difference between property management companies, operational companies, your brand licensing company, and how to do this in the most tax advantageous strategy based on specific Massachusetts Commonwealth. If you qualify for the pre-certified kind of social equity person, that's 1 courier, 1 delivery, 2 wholesalers that you could do depending in other jurisdictions, and that same process. And like, be it you doing this in more places in Massachusetts, just like you said, you've sat through the medical round through the CCC. That was crazy, like a meteor hitting the Yucatan crazy, because many of those municipalities didn't opt in for adult use and got screwed. That's your unique positioning with Holyoke, but it's really your claws are on the cliff of that. So like, to be able to pull yourself up, structure this correctly. I'd love to see you do your debt financing specifically based on your property management company, IP company. Those are your companies too. Your op company, a little bit of equity that's not going to change the social equity side. It's not just money, the fear of control. You can structure your operating agreements. You can do Zuckerberg fat shares like a Brontosaurus, anything like that's great. But I think everything of your story is what we need for the industry for a success story, especially now after the shit show of Illinois, Arizona, the big cities in California. So please reach out. I think your offer is not attractive enough on the 10, even up to 19% debt, but your story is. So there's a way that we can do something to structure something awesome. So that's what I got for you. Rawr.
Speaking of awesome, Nick, you are awesome. Look at that. Who the hell is that other guy? All right. Lori, you said you want to go last. Now you got to.
I can't. This is horrible. I want to switch I want to go before Nick. Okay. I think that raising debt is the way to go, because what you're raising really is something that you can lend against. Okay. So Nick can definitely help you with that. The one thing that I will say is, if this is a great idea and you want to take this and scale it, if an equity investor wants to invest, they want to see you go to different markets, right? And so talk about that expansion plan. You also did not really delve into the community, right? I know the community is very important to you. I'm from Chicago. I don't know Holyoke. Nick does. But how are you giving back to the community, and how is that really impacting the community that you're in and potentially other communities out there?
Great advice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jeffrey.
I want to go home now also after the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But, Leah, look, I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of what you stand for, but I am not a fan of your pitch. I'm not a fan of your pitch because I think you failed to make the business case. You made the social equity case, you made the feel good, the community, giving back. Just give you a couple examples. To Lori's point, nothing about the demographics of Holyoke. Why is Holyoke good? Holyoke may be good. I quite frankly, because I know Massachusetts, I grew up there, think it's at risk at the Connecticut border of having initially day trippers that will eventually leave when Connecticut goes legal, right? So I don't know, is Holyoke good? What's the competition? What's the demographic makeup of Holyoke? What's that look like? None of that was in the presentation. I think the average spend, $80, skews on the low side. We're an investor in one in Great Barrington, and they're almost double that. So no exit, not really friendly to equity investors. Kind of know your audience. This is an angel pitch event. We're all equity investors. We're not banks that are giving loans. You know, and God, you've got all of these license applications approved. You didn't even say that until we asked. So you failed to make your business case. So I'm a supporter of you. I'm a fan. I'll do anything I can to help you, but you got to improve that pitch.
Okay, we are going to vote one more time. 1, 2, 3. We got 3, 3 is 6, and 4 is 10, 13, and 7 is 20. And Leah, it's 20 is the score. Leah, let me just add that you have, and I think you are aware of this, you have just gotten some great advice, people coming from different places. So, and you know, some offers to help, take people up on that. We'll connect you with them, and congratulations for doing that and for what you're doing. And like I believe it was Vinay said, you know, you can have investors in and not give up control. There are ways of doing that. And if you need a good startup attorney, I can help you with that will help you. And you know, my attorney, a guy named Eric Ferraro, who's a co-founder of Pitchforce, has been a very successful entrepreneur in addition to being a great startup lawyer. And is my lawyer, so I'll be happy to connect you. Great, congratulations. Okay, next up, we are welcoming back Simone with Cannabis Capital. Simone, if you would share your screen and bring your deck up, please.
All right.
Beautiful. We are ready. We are ready when you are.
Okay, everybody can hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm Simone Cason. I am the founder and owner of Cannabis Capital Securities, an interstate broker dealer. Hold on. Social equity doesn't work. And why? Because it does not target our biggest hurdle, which is access to capital. I want to welcome you to Michigan's local stock exchange. So Michigan has created a very unique platform in our interstate that by leveraging the blue sky laws, Reg CF, they have created the MILE Act and the MIM Act, which allows for interstate commerce in the state of Michigan. A lot different than a lot of other states because it also allows for a broker dealer. So our products and services, we will serve as a broker dealer, investment advisor, and underwriter for businesses that are located in racial equity zones in the state of Michigan. Now, you probably are asking, Simone, how does this all work? Well, it's pretty complicated, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So businesses that are in the cannabis businesses that are raising startup or expansion capital can actually be listed on what we consider a local stock exchange. So the businesses will be organized by the law of Michigan. They can raise up to $1 million. And all of this is done through the Michigan Investment Market Act that was incepted in 2016. Now, you also will be saying, well, who can invest onto this market? Well, I'll tell you, you have to be a Michigan resident. If you make $100,000 or more, you can do up to 5% before you're an accredited investor. You must hold the shares for 6 months, and it's a 12-month term on both the businesses and the investors. How will we get our message out there? Really simply, from PR, content that is created, social media, events, and industry associations. I have created the team of some of the top professionals in the industry. Raj McCartney of M for MM, which is the largest organization for minorities in trade groups in cannabis. Leo Bridgewater with business and development, financial analyst raising that has managed over $200 million. Eric Grant, Eric Foster from Banks and Company, who's a lobbyist, also Jorge Limmer, and our Sierra Atkins, our attorney, all to be able to help us bridge the gap in social equity. Teaming up with partners, this is not a crowdfunding portal. We are working with Bridgewater to do our underwriting. Our compliance is compliance and exchange. We have a clearinghouse and a custodial bank, which is Bank of Michigan. You may be asking, who are my competitors? Well, we have a very unique space. There are no shortage of crowdfunding platforms, but they do not specifically speak to racial equity zones. And so Fundana, who focuses on cannabis companies, and Crowdfunder all have a niche in cannabis, but none of them actually target the underserved. Our market potential is extreme. Right now, Michigan is the highest and the fastest growing market in cannabis. We did 123% year over year. But the biggest disconnect is in our social equity program. And right now, we have 239 participants, but only 28 of them have actually been approved for final approval. And if you look at the middle section, the disconnect is when they have to show financial responsibility. That's why this market is so important. Now, as how we're going to be able to gain revenue, Cannabis Capital receives 5% of everything that is raised and 5% for everything that is invested. We're looking in our first year to do 1.5 million, to be able to double that in the second year, and then in the third year, $6 million, and that's just in Michigan. As we look forward, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead and finish up if it's just.
Okay, so we're seeking for $1 million in exchange of 20% equity in our company.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, questions, please. Yes, Vinay, and then Jeff.
Hi, Simone. So, you know, when we talk about targeting, you know, these racial equity zones or, you know, social equity zones, is it because because there's not access to capital, or are the returns, do you think, going to be higher than if you do just normal crowdfunding?
Both. The returns will definitely be higher, and we see that in liquor. We see that in a host of different other industries, that the returns will actually be higher. They're going to be more, there'll be more opportunity. The real estate is going to be a little bit cheaper. In addition to that, the opportunity is there because it solves two problems. One, it allows local residents to imbibe and invest back into their neighborhoods. It's not a Band-Aid to generational wealth. In addition to that, it also encourages other MSOs and other local dispensaries to be able to come. In the state of Michigan, we have affirmative action. So social equity is all about zoning. It has nothing to do with race.
Okay, and then just related to that, I may have missed it. But so are you asking for equity financing, or is this financing that's going to go and I'm going to get a return on that money based on the spread?
Yeah, so this is, so we actually, the broker dealer does the equity, the spread. What we're looking for is to be able to offer equity, and we would use it in marketing, net capital funds, so that we can expand and have more businesses, operations, and more. So thank you so much for asking that.
Thank you. Jeff?
Hey, Simone, so just for clarity, are you saying that you do not have to be FINRA licensed? That through the state of Michigan, you're able to put this program in and be a broker dealer? It doesn't even clear that your broker dealer looks like you're more of a crowdfunding solution, but no, that's also FINRA regulated.
So great, I want to answer that question. So right now we're doing the final approval, which to be a broker dealer, you do have to have the 7. If you're familiar with FINRA, which I think that you are, there are non-FINRA and FINRA regulations. Our Michigan Investment Act actually creates a platform. Now, there's only 2 states that actually create a platform and an act and a bill for interstate commerce with the broker dealer, and that's Michigan and Illinois. But you can pull up the Michigan Investment Market Act and do your research, and then you'll be able to understand it a little bit better.
Okay, just follow-on question. So is your line of business only crowdfunding, or are you going to do like traditional?
No, we're not going to do Reg A right now. We probably want to stay in the Reg CF. I think that's where the biggest opportunity is. The businesses can stay with us for 12 months. After that, we'll let them go, and then they can go to another entity if they decide to do Reg A or better. Right now, we want to be able to bridge the gap, right? And so culturally, when we look at social equity and we talk about Black and brown people, the Reg CF scenario offers a better cultural relationship with money and a better adaptability, right? And it protects everybody.
Understood.
Lori's got the next question.
Sure. You're on mute, Lori. Thank you.
All right, what is your background, or who on the team has experience on the regulated side? And you mentioned interstate, but I think what you're saying is intrastate, right? You guys can only invest.
Yes, I said interstate.
Michigan investors in Michigan companies.
Yes,
that's how you get around that. It's just like the like Blue Sky, you said. And so, what is your plan to scale that outside of Michigan?
Wonderful.
And I had another question, but I think that's enough.
Okay, so your first question I wanted to, we actually work with Compliance Exchange Group, who is our principal officer, which will be doing all of the compliance that we have. Along with that, we are registered with the Corporations and Securities Licensing Bureau of the state of Michigan that I was actually, this went on from the Marijuana Regulatory Agency, where I'm a chairwoman, where I actually came up with this local stock exchange for the state. So the state is along with us, where we actually started this idea. So that's the compliance part. In addition to that, we have a clearinghouse. We also have a custodial bank. And then last but not least, our underwriting is done with a data analysis. So that answers that question. The next one is we're doing it in other states. We have a full lobbyist team and 4 attorneys that work with us outside of my, and 2 CPAs outside of my advisory board that actually will go in, and we've created a blueprint so we can pack it up and be able to do this someplace else. This can include legislation changes and policy compliance and being able to have a full broker dealer. So we don't have a portal. I've created an infrastructure.
Thank you.
Simone, we're going to let you take a breath and smile,
Okay.
relax, and we're going to let you mute yourself. We're going to give you our feedback. Love your enthusiasm. I have one last question. Are you saying that you came up with this idea yourself?
Yeah, I'm not just cute. Yeah, I'm smart too. Yeah.
All right. All right.
No
Great.
problem.
Okay.
Yes.
F, you're up first this time.
Yeah, so the, super impressive. I mean, again, there is so much to unpack there that, to be frank with you, if you just got one piece of that sort of right, I think that makes, sense. And I'm sure you can get all of them right. So, I'm not familiar enough with the local state laws regarding regulatory exchanges or anything like that to really speak to a lot of it. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Vinay?
Yeah, I think, I like the concept. It's fairly unique. I haven't seen anything, sort of like that. And, we've all seen lots and lots of pitches. I guess I was just trying to understand for the investor who puts in that up to $10,000, what kind of returns, can he potentially get versus, other platforms, right? Lending Club or, other crowdfunding sort of platforms. And then, I also wanted to understand the team a little bit better. I know you had a lot of advisors, but I didn't know where their backgrounds are. So sometimes it helps even to put some logos of firms they've worked at, just to kind of get a better sense of that. And I think if I saw it quickly, you've been in the business since 2017, or this company's been in existence. So I wasn't sure, and I know you have some insurance background, so you may want to just bring out the background and the genesis of the company a little bit more, just to have some foundational stuff.
Thanks, Vinay. I'm going to call an audible here and let Lori go before Nick, so she doesn't have to follow any prehistoric animals or someone who's just rattling off all this brilliant stuff so quickly.
So I, my background is this stuff. I understand the blue sky laws. I would actually advise you to look bigger and get registered, because you are going to get bogged down with little investors, and it is going to end up potentially being a shit show. Okay. We're in, the sort of first inning of a business marketplace that is still federally illegal. So why not go ahead and get FINRA licensed so that you can get investors from other states to invest in Michigan?
Great.
That would be my suggestion.
And are you willing to talk to someone after this, Lori?
Yeah, sure. Yes, definitely.
That would be great. Thank you. Nick?
Well, always hard to actually follow Lori too. Just genius there. How the industry can start to use the S show word a lot more. Very proud on that side. Simone, thanks for the comments. Farm kid from Wisconsin, wouldn't have ever thought I'd be in like venture cap, dealing with mutual funds, international, and that would have never thought. So your background and what you bring forward, super awesome. A couple of the base comments though, I probably more than anyone on this call, having done things in Michigan that none of you will ever hear of, but all the way up through the lieutenant governor and dealing with Laura, Brisboe, everything, specifically on social equity programs for Michigan. Michigan is the one state that F word you can use for franchising side, which is extremely important. You've got a lot of these micro licenses, which were pure crap because the processing association is completely controlled by, the Michigan Processors Association. No offense to a bunch of them, bunch of assholes controlling people. Same on like the transport side, like really constrained by a bottleneck of Chaldean businesses. Great people, but it's like you got to know those bottlenecks because your investors and like your portfolio companies are the ones that you're raising for could significantly miss some bottlenecks. So there's some additional services you could do on that. Now this crowdfunding thing, it's kind of like anytime you do one thing illegal, like I said before, like don't speed, and have some cannabis in the car, do one or the other, don't have cannabis in the car locked up in the back, of course. But anytime there's like crypto or crowdfunding or anything weird with cannabis, I'm like, do one weird thing at a time. You are 100% correct though. So in Michigan, even with that law in 2016 that you're mentioning, I looked deeply into that and how to do this and like what the fee structures were for brokers that did that. Lori's wisdom is genius. I consider, no offense to my LPs, but like investors to like venture funds or us ourselves, like every investor is a baby bird and chirping. If you have $1 in my company, if you have $250,000 minimum, if you have 10 million, it's like the bigger investors, less BS. The smaller the investor, more BS on average because they have more risk. That's why I don't like to touch dealing with anything that's not accredited investors for certain disclosures, Reg D stuff, other things like that. A lot more, but like the platform you're talking about, completely legal, completely bona fide and functional for Michigan. Now, my main notes on this though, having looked into this, which I'm so stoked you're doing this because there's most of the social equity minded based capital has been extremely predatory in the space, more than any that I've ever seen. For some groups asking for like 44% for their like seed round cap and madness and control, 2 board seats, craziness. I think your model's good. Lori's points and a few others on like the scalability is great. I did not like though, like knowing Michigan very well, hundreds plus licenses done in Michigan and love the market and 12 million potential. It's going to be great. And all your neighboring states pretty much suck completely. So like you're going to pull all Indiana, you're going to pull all of Ohio for a while. Chicago's tax rate's too high, no supply. They're going to come up that road and like go buy fudge and Mackinac, whatever's. Those cherries that are awesome up there. Like it's going to be super, super good. UP on the Michigan side or on the Wisconsin side. Amazing. Michigan, you're right. It's good. You're limiting yourself to racially equity zones. And that's a bummer. I know what those are. If you change that mandate to like a different type of social equity, you're going to open yourself up to so many, because if you're committing, let's say, to the Detroit process, which went all the way to the Supreme Court on the constitutionality of like this racially zoned social equity status, which was unconstitutional, but the poison pill in the state said like, oh, Detroit said like, if this is unconstitutional, we just won't do an adult use cannabis program. And then those 75 minority licenses, nothing. So I think you got a great program. Expand the base on the racial zones to like a certain sort of social equity, veterans, certain minority owned, women bird business certified. You're going to open up your ability for portfolio companies, a lot more qualified ones. Also a little terrifying when I think on like 20% for a mill. If you're doing a 2 and 20 or you're doing the 5 and 5 on the front side, back side, that's nice because in Michigan, you don't have to disclose yourself as an owner at that level. But that fee structure is not attractive enough for this model to actually bring in an equity investor of this size. And it's not proven enough. And it is high freaking risk. SEC, FINRA, crowdfunding, it's all legal through the blue sky there, like we talked about. I think there's something awesome there. I would, totally love to talk to you at some point with what I know there to give some guidance. And I need to see something like this work perfectly for Michigan as a rollout then that can be modeled to other states on why they should adopt those sorts of laws, because trying to do this in other states sucks. That's why you being a broker dealer, investment banker side or clearinghouse, having that with different banking relationships in those new states will give you huge upside on the ability to do this. So that's really, really exciting. So, that's my main feedback. And the 12-month turn, also terrifying. Like these businesses, if you invested into a racially equity zone person who's cultivation, they've got pre-construction, direct construction, building permits, conditional use permits, MEPs, stormwater, all this stuff, putting things together. Steel's way expensive, Rona delays. They don't get to market until 9, 10, 12 months. You got to grow a plant, stock plants, clones, vegetative, dry, cure, testing, pass it. You might not meet that 10-month mandate on the payback on some of that. And then you're going to take very predatory loans on future receivables, which you don't want to put your people in. So that hold period, do it based on the license type or the type of operator, ancillary or not, but like really beautiful concept and like great energy. Really want to see you succeed in this.
Simone, it's good that we've got a recording of this drinking from the fire hose. That's AKA Nick Easley. Jeffrey.
I'm a fast one.
So, Nick clearly covered Michigan and all that. So I feel like too many of the key components are outsourced here. Underwriting, regulatory, I mean, certainly custodian and all that stuff is sort of typical, but I feel like too much of the core of what you're going to need is not there. The underwriting, and that's all outsourced, and that's awkward for me. And, you know, even at the beginning, you know, you're talking about a broker dealer, but then when we looked at the competition, it was crowdfunding competitors. So it sounds like it's a crowdfunding play. I'm still not completely sure you're not doing Reg A deals. I don't know if you're doing Reg D deals. You don't have anybody on the team who's a banker. So I don't think you're doing Reg D deals. You're sort of relying on marketing to the crowdfunding. So people, so you can get, you know, individual investors who are not accredited come to the site and fund. So that's what I would add to the team, because I don't think there's anybody there that sort of, you know, even from the crowdfunding side, that looks like they've done it before, and that's usually a requirement for me. One thing too, just crowdfunding is not the panacea. And when you get your issuers are going to sign for your site, they're going to need to spend money on marketing to bring eyeballs to that site. So I would also look for a marketing partner that can start to do campaigns to get eyeballs to the site to see the opportunity and eventually fund it. Because if you're just going to put it up there, nobody's going to come.
Thanks, Jeff. Jen, you want to wrap it up for us, please?
Sure. I just want to echo a bit what everyone said. One thing a lot of investors look at is your total addressable market. And at first I was a little taken aback with just Michigan, because I feel like it could be so much bigger, like Lori's saying. So that might be something you want to weave into your story, that you have. I understand now your approach of why just Michigan, but that if you could replicate that model across all 50 states and territories and districts, like how powerful of a story that could be. And then again, leaning on your team. I know it's really hard to brag on yourself, but it's especially hard for women to brag on themselves. But the more you talked, the more your credibility went up. And I think it's worth bragging a little bit more about your experience and your own background, and especially how well you know your market, because you helped build it and frame it. Like that really positions you as why you of all people can do this, and why maybe only you and your team is uniquely qualified to make this happen. So I would love to just hear that a little bit more in your story, so that we know right from the beginning, wow, this woman like is amazing. She knows what she's talking about. She has the experience. Now anything here is just, as I say, from New Orleans, lagniappe. It's a little something extra and a little bit more awesome to your story. So thank you so much for.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to vote again on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. We got 3 and 2 is 5, and we got 5, 10, and 3 threes is 9. 10 and 9 is 19. All right, you're in second place, Simone. Congratulations. We've got 2 more companies that are going to pitch. Let's welcome back Mike Delamole with Mariposa Technology. And if you would share your screen.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. Now, if you'll share your screen.
Can do. All right. Can you see it?
We can see it. Please begin when you're ready.
Great. Hi, I'm Michael Dalimole, the Chief Operating Officer at Mariposa Technology. We are currently developing a novel testing protocol based on a proven spectroscopic technique used across multiple scientific disciplines for the last 80 years that will shake the foundation of the hemp industry as we know it. We have a dedicated team of published scientists, business and finance executives, and technology systems experts with over 120 years of collective experience. To name a few, Dr. Jim, our CSO, is a published research scientist with over 20 years of laboratory-based experience in plant biology, calcium signaling, and defense responses. Michael, our CTO, is a veteran software executive with over 30 years of experience designing and implementing technology solutions for some of the world's largest companies like IBM. On top of our in-house team, we have engaged in an exclusive technology services contract with Texas A&M's AgriLife Center and Kurowski Labs for ongoing research and development of our protocol and our database. Together, we plan on sampling 4,000 different hemp variants by year 3. The only absolute in the US hemp industry is the legal standard of less than 0.3% THC content. Hemp crops failing to meet this standard are immediately dubbed as hot and are therefore illegal and must be destroyed. States routinely States routinely report failure rates of up to 25% of viable crops at harvest, and millions of dollars of potential earnings are literally burnt to the ground. Mariposa Technology is developing a revolutionary protocol for rapid in-field testing of live hemp plants. By utilizing an existing handheld RS device paired with our proprietary database, test results are affordable, accurate, and immediately available to farmers through our software as a service subscription. Raman spectroscopy is a technique used to determine the vibrational modes of molecules by way of laser technology. Raman spectra provide a structural fingerprint or band by which molecules can be identified and studied. The output from these vibrational bands runs through our database, resulting in nearly 100% testing accuracy, the most accurate test results in the industry, and the easiest protocol to perform. Moreover, THC is just the beginning. This technology can be tuned to detect levels of any and all analytes in the cannabis sativa plant. As of 2020, all 50 states have legalized hemp with over 500,000 acres of licensed land for cultivation. Our market is focused and easily identifiable. Any and all commercial hemp farmers, including those producing for grain and fiber, are potential clients. Generally speaking, we can expect massive industry growth. The current industry standard for testing is lab-based HPLC. Results can take 1 to 7 days and cost $75 on average. For reference, most hemp farmers are running between 10 and 100 tests per week. Results are inconsistent from lab to lab with up to a 30% variance, making results untrustworthy and very misleading. Dissolution-based systems like HPLC are highly prone to user error, and these testing protocols have a large carbon footprint and require tons of extraneous items and steps: gloves, solvents, specialty lighting, climate control, and more. Our closest on-site testing competitor is Orange Photonics Light Lab system. It costs $14,300 upfront with recurring consumable costs like gloves, vials, solutions, solvents, etc. Tests cost $5 each as a recurring cost, with over $1,000 annual device calibration fee. This system requires many hours of training followed by hours of sample prep for each sample tested, and the fastest possible results come in 10 minutes. Our service costs only $2,500 upfront plus $250 per acre of cultivated land. It requires only 20 minutes of training, works with any computer or device with a web browser, and does not require any sample preparation whatsoever. Results take just 30 to 60 seconds, and the cost of our service is roughly 2% of the potential profit per acre realized by the average farmer. We are seeking a $1.2 million equity investment to continue building our database and to further refine our protocol. This investment would provide a runway for us to close the door on proof of concept and open the door to commercialization. We plan to exit by year 5 through acquisition, and we estimate annual revenues to be $10 million plus by year 4. This goal would only require us to have 8% of the total hemp acreage across the United States utilizing our service. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thanks, Mike. What's the deal for investors? What's the pre-money valuation on your raise?
So pre-money, we're 4 million.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Questions? Yes, F and then Vinay.
Yeah, certainly. So super interested in the category. I've been on the board for a company called Pathogen DX, microarray technology for years, long-term investors in diagnostics. Question here, in-field diagnosis of any type, kind of call it point of care in the human side, is very fraught with challenges. Sample prep, did you happen to get it? Consistency, etc. Maybe you could speak. I mean, you showed a very compelling picture of shoving what amounted to a hemp bud in the hole on the top of your device. Maybe you could spend a little bit of time talking about consistency, meaning that if the sample's from a leaf, a stem, a bud, if there's an ant in there, if the ladybug's at the top of it, how any of that stuff from a sample prep affects your readout.
Absolutely. So thus far in just proof of concept work that we've done already, we found that 5 scans per plant at various parts of that plant are enough data to give us a really good, accurate average reading. And, again, we are still proofing this out, but we have found extremely high accuracy levels, 98% and higher on testing with 5 scans per plant at various points across the plant.
Whoa, hold on a second. So you're telling me that in a 50-acre grow with, I don't know, someone give me the plant per acre multiple here, that in order to get this right, you've got to test 5 times per plant. Anybody know plant per square acre out there? I mean, it's a lot, man. So, I mean, that could take an entire growing season to send a full-time person out there to grow to test every plant. So that's important to tell folks like us. And I'd make sure you put it in the decks. I think it really does frame up where you are in the cycle. Great results, got some hurdles. Make sure you're just transparent to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
I think Vinay had the next question and then Nick.
Yeah, so sort of related, but I just wanted to get a sense of, who have you done proof of concepts with? What kind of volume has gone through those proof of concepts? Any names you can share of, cultivators who you're working with?
So at the moment, the only hemp plants that we have tested are hemp plants cultivated by AgriLife at Texas A&M. So it's been done in a pretty controlled environment. And just to go back to F's question a little more, just keep in mind that our scans take 30 to 60 seconds for a full vibrational reading. So, if you try to compare that to HPLC or LC or any kind of other typical standardized test, you could very feasibly test.
Look, I'm your fan here, man. If you could do this for soybeans in Brazil, you're going to be a zillionaire. All I'm saying is just be transparent with us that where you are in your development stage, frame up what was just discussed. Sorry, didn't mean to talk out of turn, everyone.
No.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Nick, I think.
Yeah, Mike, thanks for sharing your passion and your wisdom. I'm not a BS in science, which that's not bullshit. That's an acronym, but with some of this, just explain your tech a tad more. I'm not fishing here, but F has worked for a little small pocket company. HPLCs are really important. GCs for certain aspects. Your mass specs for others. Yeah, that stuff's expensive and crazy. But tell me about your tech, not pocket HPLC. You're talking about vibrational. I need to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Raman spectroscopy has been around for almost 100 years. It was developed by an Indian physicist, C.V. Raman. Essentially, it's a scattering spectroscopy that vibrates photons, and the reader within the device will create a signal which produces a band, and that band has different levels across it that we can correlate to different cannabinoids, THCA.
It's a comparative. You're just doing comparative analysis. You're not actually you're comparing it to something you have in a database, for example.
Absolutely correct. Yes. So we do need to have, yes, you're absolutely correct. We need to have existing data to reference, and that's what we're working on right now. So we are building that database.
An ATM, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
And all your data is coming from one test place at Texas A&M, which just from their plants without any of
No, so we are developing relationships with cultivators and growers all across the country.
Where have you tested this though? Just Texas A&M?
At the moment, yes.
With their plants?
Yes, that's correct.
May or may not be representative of the hemp industry.
We're going to find out very soon.
Roger that.
We're still really early phase.
Roger. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Jeff, last question. Sure.
An existential threat to this are advanced genetics that are designed to be THC purged. I know at least one company, I think there's a second, I can't quite remember, that is reasonably far along with that. What have you heard about that? And how do you think about that?
So at the moment, we have, in fact, I would actually love, if you don't mind, I can read a quote from Professor Kurowski, who runs the Kurowski Laboratory at AgriLife. If that's okay with you, because I do think it speaks to what you're saying. So according to Dimitri, we realize that RS is 100% reliable in differentiating cannabis from hemp when a collected spectra from both types of plants are found. And with those spectra collected, we can tell that those groups of plants are completely 100% different. And so upon learning that information, they delved a little further, and they are basically learning now that, and again, this is through our research partnership with them, that it suggests that RS data can be used to quantify the percentage of individual cannabinoids in the cannabis sativa plant, as well as differentiate not only between industrial hemp and cannabis, but also between industrial hemp, cannabis, and CBD-rich hemp. So you're able to use the reading from this device to basically track the entire genetic makeup of the plant. And of course, it takes pre-existing data, so you need a database to reference. But working with the lab, it's allowing us to kind of dive deeper into all of these different avenues and figure out what's going to work best and what we should be working toward. Because at the moment, THC is the easiest band for us to read. It makes a lot of sense to get this into the hands of hemp farmers so that they can kind of be hot or not. And, we do believe that this technology has the power to trace anything that's genetic about the plant.
Okay, thank you, Mike. If you mute yourself, pardon me, we're going to switch to
Thank
feedback.
you.
We're going to go with Vinay, and then we'll have Lori go before Nick, and then Jeff, Jen, and F. Vinay, please.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the presentation, Mike. Yeah, so just a few things. I'm not an expert on, Raman spectrometry, but having said that, I think it would be helpful in the pitch and in the, it could be a slide in the deck, it's kind of explaining, that's a technology, a little bit about it, and why can't I just, if it's been around for 100 years, why can't Jeff and I or Jennifer and I just create that same machine? Now it sounds like you need that reference database which you're building. How difficult is that to build, right? Is that 100,000 samples? It takes 3 years to build, right? Some way to get me that there's some real IP and knowledge here that's difficult to replace. That's one piece. And then the only other piece that stuck out to me on the again, I don't think I saw a full financial picture over the next couple of years, but you did mention in I think year 4, $10 million, and that would represent 8% kind of market share. Just my personal view is that that is not a huge number to me after 4 years. I mean, we see lots of pitches, companies saying they're going to do 50 million, 100 million of revenue. So I just feel if that's the max potential, it's not going to resonate with a lot of people. So that's just something to sort of think about, and there's always this balance of being conservative but it didn't excite me, so I'm just being honest about that.
Good point, Vinay. Thank you. Lori?
I'm sorry, my internet went dead when F was asking about how many times how many plants, times the acreage. The one thing that I would suggest is to add a tech roadmap. Like, this is where you are today. This is where you'd like to go. Do you want to expand into other plants? Something, or, use handhelds, use your phone, something that shows there is a roadmap to a solution that's cheaper, better, faster.
Thank you. Nick?
Oh my. Well, first, sometimes I just want to say it's when this fails, you're really passionate and super intelligent individual. It's just for the wrong thing. I'd love to hire you for some purpose or put you with some company. Just kidding. If that's the worst case scenario, you've at least got that. I think you're stand-up guy, man, with how you talk about this. I hate comparative analysis. It just doesn't work. I've seen too many pocket handheld things from soil to this, that, the other that just doesn't work very well. You're only comparing against that database. But here's the thing, the key problem or feedback I have is you're asking the right question at the wrong time. The plants are already in the ground. I've already invested into field work, cloning, either seeding, going through those things, fertigation, irrigation, pest management, thinning, training, trellising between, tomato clipping, all these things in these fields with these plants sometimes, or just let them go. But they're growing already. So you're going to tell me I'm screwed or not screwed. I've already done everything, invested. As a farmer, that's the wrong time to ask the question. So if you've heard of certified seed or certified genetic or people doing clones from those, this question is being answered on the front side already. And that's where you need to be looking, because that's where when standardized seed, it takes 4 years through departments of agriculture, it's different elevations, all these different soil types, blah, blah, blah. No matter how and where you grow this thing, it's not going to piss hot, most likely, high degree of certainty. So when that happens, it's the same thing with certain corn, soybeans, wheat, other sorts of commodities. With certified seed, there's great things with brand licensing or breeders' rights with those sorts of things. But your machine, $2,500, comparative analysis, always having to update that database. You're limited in your sample size for that. I've managed hundreds of different type hemp operations around the country. The genetics and world that I see are not in your database for what ATM has. So yeah, like I said, think about where you can ask that question at the beginning. With the seed, which not possible. If you're only testing the THC range, also not the best comparative analysis, because then the time of maturity of these plants you're testing, so much degradation. So I think it's an awesome concept. I don't think it's going to work out well. because there's not going to be much of a need for it in the future once things are more standardized, because none of the giant producers would ever use a tool like this.
Thanks, Nick. Jeff?
Yeah, so, building on what Nick is saying. So when I asked my question about the existential threat to genetics solving the problem, I felt like your answer was sort of like, yeah, well, hot hemp isn't the ultimate business we're going to be in. We can do a lot of other things. And so that wasn't necessarily comforting, because I don't want to fund the business today that might unlock the business that you might be in the future. Secondly, just a small nit for me, I just hate co-CEOs, particularly when they're experienced business guys, because usually it just means I haven't had the tough discussion of who's going to be the final say. And so that, to me, looked at the deck, looked out of character. I see it more when there are young founders that knew each other from college and they're 26, and it's almost forgivable there. They got to have the hard discussion. They haven't, but it's more unsettling when they seem to be experienced guys that have that background in software.
Thank you. Jen?
Yeah, really interesting concept. For me, I needed a couple more numbers, because there were a couple times where you said, it would be 2% of the cost of whatever their hemp is, or, it would take this many times or be this much percent of the market. And it would have been easier for me as an investor to understand if it was just straight numbers, like our test costs $8 per whatever, you need to do with this, and kind of help do that apples to apples comparison. Because in our case, like, we're not your consumer, we're your investor. So we want to know the actual numbers, just to give us like a little bit more of a frame. And the last number that threw me off was, I think at the very end, you said something about if we only got 8% of the market, and 8% of the market is huge. Like, normally when you pitch to VCs, you say, if we could only get 1% of the market, or 0.1% of this market, it would be X. So to say 8 is just, it's such a big thing. And it's, it really just threw me for a loop. So I was like, wow, that's a big thing. But if you start with that kind of 1%, that's more relatable for people, and I think an easier sell. My last thing would be that I thought it was interesting how your competitive space on that very handheld market. But something I don't think you're thinking about is that you have other competitors with satellites, low orbit satellites and drones, who are using hyperspectral imagery. And we can easily see the genetics of different crops. So I can tell you GMO corn versus non-GMO corn, and even if it came from Terminator seeds or not. So applying that to hemp, there are people who are doing it. They're doing it for law enforcement right now to look for outdoor grows, but that might be a closer actual competitor, because they're going to charge by the acre. So just as you're thinking of your pricing model, you might also want to look at these people that are a few years out, but could easily come in, and especially at a commercial ag level, say, well, I can do your entire thing for this. So just somebody else to kind of keep on your competitive landscape radar. They're definitely not out of stealth yet, but they're coming. So just to kind of give you a heads up.
Thanks, Jen. F, you want to wrap it up for us, please?
Yeah, Jen touched on something super important there. There is a lot of downstream tech, especially with spectral imaging via drone and satellite, that is probably nipping at your heels. That being said, I think it's super cool what you're doing, Mike. I think at the end of the day, the key for us as investors is, kind of telling it straight, right? You're an R&D based company. There is nothing wrong with it. Everybody was there once, right? Especially in the diagnostic business. It's okay. It takes multiple years and a significant amount of money to get it right. So to me, this was more presented as a real-time product with real-time issues, real-time opportunity. I think you needed to roll it back and kind of say, hey, we've got this great tech. It's going to do a lot of things. We think its application to the hemp business could be really interesting, right? Here's where we're at. This is how much money we need. And I think you want to be a little more incremental to get to the next critical milestone, right? And then, let us, think through all of the opportunities, but really put this out there very straight, right? Let's not get into size of market on hemp, because you may be missing one of the largest other markets. Also, you don't have enough data to talk about hemp or talk about what the, sunk cost of, time of human interaction and so on. So my take it is, if you present this a little more as an R&D with some cool breakthrough tech that you're trying to get to the next level, it makes it a lot easier for all of us. And it keeps us from like asking you all these hard questions that your answer is going to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm only testing here. Of course you're only testing here. You're an R&D level product. The fact you're testing at all is killer. Like, let us celebrate your wins instead of overreaching and getting hammered. That's my thought.
Thank you. It's time to vote again. 1, 2, 3. We got 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, and 2. So we got 4 and 12 is 16. Okay, let's bring back Mike Simpson with Omura for the 5th and final pitch. Share your screen, Mike, and we'll be ready to go.
Hey guys, thanks for inviting me back. Mike Simpson, co-founder and CEO of Omura.
You want to share your screen, please? We're not seeing your screen, Mike.
I know that. I thought you were going to allow me to show the product.
Oh, yes, you can do that. My bad. Go ahead.
Thanks, guys, no worries. Okay, so the system comprises of flower sticks and our heat not burn device. You simply put this flower stick in the device. It starts automatically. After it's warmed up, you just inhale pure cannabinoids and terpenes. There's no smoke whatsoever. Tastes great. Okay, thanks very much, Max. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to introduce the founders. I spent 10 years in Tokyo at the forefront of developing next generation technologies for British American tobacco, and 3 years in California researching the cannabis industry for big tobacco as well. The two other founders have diverse yet complementary skills. John Brunner comes straight out of building a premium Apple accessories brand called Native Union, and Matty Bickerton was a senior research scientist for Philips Electronics. Our CFO, Simon Page, was a career-long investment banker for JP Morgan Chase. So the problem is, there's no product on the market today that combines whole flower cannabis with clean, convenient, and controlled experience. The solution, we only use whole flower in our flower sticks. It's convenient, there's no grinding, packing, or cleaning required. It's clean, there's no smoke or ash and no lingering smell as there's no combustion. It's a controlled dose, and that gives you comfort that you are going to stay in control and not get too high. And it's sustainable. Our flower sticks are made of rainforest-friendly paper and they're compostable too. And it's hygienic too, which is important nowadays. You throw the mouthpiece away every time and there's never any cleaning required. So the flower sticks and the devices. On the left is our flower stick pack. Each flower stick only contains a very small but exact amount of whole flower cannabis or hemp CBD. And on the right is Omura's latest device, the Series X, which heats flower sticks using convection technology, releasing all the cannabinoids and terpenes without combustion, giving a smoke-free, tasty, efficacious, full entourage effect. Our business model, Omura is a non-plant touching company, allowing us to scale globally. We make our money from the sale of devices, leasing our filling equipment, empty flower stick sales and empty packaging sales to licensed cannabis companies, and the sale of our in-house CBD brands and white label filling for third-party CBD brands. Where it really gets exciting is obviously return users buying extra flower stick packs. We've got a broad suite of internationally filed intellectual property covering every aspect of our platform. Here's a selection of our current THC partners in California, Massachusetts, and soon to be New York. Some big names in there already. Pipeline states for THC in 2021 include New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Michigan. Here's a selection of our current CBD brands on the platform. Oriel and Libertine are our two in-house CBD brands, and here's 4 other white label CBD brands that we sell throughout the US. Also 3 Swiss brands here, and we'll be launching next month in Switzerland. So our ecosystem consists of devices, pre-filled THC flower sticks. Shortly we'll be launching THC infused flower sticks, pre-filled hemp CBD sticks. We've just launched empty stick packs for the user to fill with their own flower, and we're about to launch an ingenious system that allows consumers to rapidly fill a whole pack of empty sticks in a few seconds. So this pivotal move of introducing empty flower sticks in the market means that instead of waiting until we've established flower brand partners before we can launch into a new region, now we can enter virtually every market globally, even the grey and black markets. Amura can build brand presence and then build up the ecosystem with flower brands over time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, guys ready for questions? Who's got the first question? Yes, Lori.
Yeah, so I've seen your pitch before through another entity. And at the time, I think you guys were talking to some of the big SMOs. Where does that stand to date?
We're still talking with many of the big MSOs. There's a number of conversations I can't disclose, but we're certainly in conversation about launching in New York and multiple other states with Curaleaf, talking with Parallel.
And what's been their pushback so far?
I think these big companies move very slowly. There's a lot of boxes to be ticked.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I have a, and maybe it's an unfair, but it's a view that says, I'm wondering if you're chasing a problem nobody really has, and if there's space at a dispensary for something in between vape and just lighting up flower. So how do I get my head around that? I think of two things. One is, has any brands left the platform? And what can you tell me about traction where it's being sold and resales that would give me confidence that this can break through at the point of sale?
That's a great question. So there's been 2 or 3 brands that have left the platform. It's been quite challenging in California. It's obviously a huge marketplace with many different products there. We've been limited with our marketing budget, so exposure in the California market's been quite tricky. We've been more successful on the East Coast in Massachusetts, where the vertically integrated players are in a different environment essentially. So it's been more successful getting kind of exposure in the East Coast, and we're really going to be following that. But I think one of the important things for us, as we just decided, is that rather than start with large flower brands and that be our starting point, we've decided to actually get brand presence and launch into every market with empty stick packs. We've realized from the customer feedback that everybody wants empty sticks. They want to be able to fill it with their own flower. And so rather than starting with the big MSOs and moving down, we decided to build brand presence and consumer awareness and then bring the flower brand partners on afterwards.
Okay, other questions? Yes, Nick?
Met you before, Mike. I have some good feedback for you, but what's revenue to date, like licensing or equipment sales and so forth?
Okay, so we only we don't sell the equipment, so we don't make much revenue from that.
No, from like you sell hardware. You sell
hardware. We've sold
That's
around.
right.
I think we've sold around 60,000 devices to date. We made approximately 1.5 million last year. It was a hard year for everybody, especially breaking a new technology. It was quite difficult to promote a new technology through curbside pickup.
Total revenue though. That's so like in devices 60,000. You did 1.5.
This year we're heading for around 3 million, depending on how many.
That's hardware devices. That's licensing.
I don't have a combination. I don't have the numbers on me. I'd be more than willing to share them afterwards. But roughly 3 million is a combination of devices and stick packs.
Roger. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we will switch to feedback, and we're going to start with Nick, Lori, Jeff, Jen, F. We'll finish up with Vinay. Nick, you're up first.
Okay. Well, let me just do it with a hive of bees behind me. Straight up, look at these guys.
You got
no way. There's a lot of them. Wow. Anyways, bees are amazing. Always plan good things for them. Mentioned in the past, these heat not burn devices are going to revolutionize smoking. They already have in Europe and in South America. Sitting like smoking these, drinking Tintos in Colombia in offices with execs, just like awesome. but I'm talking like the tobacco side, previous smoker. It's been there for cannabis yet. Now, these heat not burn things, like some of those patents over the years, like super valuable. I've seen your device and know it. I still just, you've got something awesome, and I want to do this, and I want to believe in you, and I know that this is going to be actually huge, but your execution's poor. Those tubes just burn in like it's not enough cannabis. You want to be able to have different size like sticks for it, like a small, medium, large. And like that paper just burns. And after a while, like the first few, awesome. After 10, 15, 20, like this thing's dirty. How do I, then this thing sucks. Like, and I've seen that and gotten that feedback. So like the idea and the concept's great. The execution is poor. It's not your fault. Bless you, Lori. But the main thing is you got to get better, and you got to raise a lot of revenue quick, because giants already own this tech that does this kick ass in other space. I think your team kicks ass as well, but you need to ask for some more money to really get this right, because the R&D on the type of paper you're using, like, you know, your shredder, like kind of like little rock tumbler thing, like to fill them. It's good. It is pretty consistent. So like you're a CPG, you're handheld, you're going to be revolutionary. You got to stop using like that tip concept and think filter concept, because like this will co-brand over to like the cigarette side, and literally will, when the true dangers of like vapes comes out, this sort of technology is not a safe alternative to smoking or a safe alternative to vaping, but this is a unique class, and it's been kick-ass multi-B on the tobacco empire side. So I want to believe in you. Ask for some more money. You've got great team. You got to invest in the R&D, which just sucks. And you got to push hard on, like right now, if you're pushing a crappy product, it's going to suck later. So like if you get that tech and that consumer experience down now, and you use more money for the marketing budgets to just get those licensing agreements in new states, not just to be known as the first shitty kind of good thing that could be new, but to get that tech ready for those markets, because the experience after a pack or two, it's just not epic. What do you guys think?
Okay, thanks, Nick. Lori?
You're on mute.
Yeah, so I agree with Nick. I think that I think the concept is good. I just struggle with why hasn't it gotten more reception? So I think to Jeff's point, is it a solution that doesn't have a problem, right? There is something in the experience of rolling and smoking a joint. Having said that, you know, there are the oil-based products that are out there that are single doses that might be, you know, that have gotten more traction. I just don't know, like, I don't know why you haven't gotten that traction, because it seems to me that it's something that people would be interested, especially given, you know, given the focus on what could go wrong with the vape products.
Thank you. Jeff?
I'm going to make just two comments, really more about presentation. One, you know, it's a $3 million business. You should come to a pitch night knowing the breakdown between equipment, license, and, you know, point of sale for the devices, the sticks, because it's not a complicated revenue model, right? So you should kind of know that. I think you should come prepared for that. Secondly, when I asked the question about traction, what I would have hoped is that you would have rattled off the 3 metrics that you're tracking on a weekly basis to tell me how that trended. I would have actually hoped it would have been in the deck. But absent of the deck, it would have been great for you to say, bing, 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 here are the 3 things, so that you could convey not only traction to me, but the fact that I know you're data driven.
Thank you. Jen?
Hi, all. And I think I have a bit of an unfair advantage here as well, because Mike, I've seen your presentation before, so I can see how you guys are growing. I know 2020 was a struggle. I agree with the rest of the panel, kind of you have to break out that revenue stream, because I think it's really important for us to figure out as well, like, are those empty sticks going to be what the business turns into, or is it really going to be the licensing, you know, of letting other brands get this into consumers, because I think this device goes after like a very specific consumer who is not ready to invest $300 to $400 in a convection portable vape, like a high-end, Da Vinci type thing. But somebody who's a little bit newer and maybe doesn't want to smoke. And I think if you can hit that sweet spot, you can have something really, really amazing here. But having those kind of different customer archetypes and understanding your consumer, I think is going to be key. Because I think one drawback of the device is that there is no filter between you and the flower as much as some of the other devices on the market. So I think that's going to come down to like that user experience. Because I personally noticed when I filled them, they were never the same as the ones that are pre-filled by the manufacturer. So I would be really interested to see like where that revenue stream is going to end up, to help kind of paint the picture of kind of where your company's going. So I think we have a good idea of where you are now, but I think you're hearing this consistent feedback of, well, where is this company really going to go and what's going to be the main driver? And if you come back and say, well, 80% of it is just going to be, these empty cartridges, consumers want to do this, that's, a different sales channel and a sales path than partnering with the THC brands that are in the dispensary and having a bud tender convince somebody to buy this. If customers are finding you naturally and then saying, this is the only way I want to vape going forward, it's just a very, very different and very compelling story. So I can't wait to hear more about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. F?
Yeah, so let me, in all disclosure, I've spent a fair amount of time looking at company. The first thing I'll say is they are getting traction. When I looked at this company, it was an $800 or $1 million a year company, and that was not that long ago, to be quite frank with you. So, this is growing. I think maybe honestly, Mike, you need to tell a better story about how you're growing. There are a lot of these interesting opportunities. Again, I think, to us, if we focus so much on the physical product, which is cool, and to you guys is wonderment since it's your baby, right, Mike? A lot of the things, the more granular detail of your success over time makes sense. And given now a historic look back with 5 years of experience at the cannabis market and the respective growth curves, you guys are doing great. You know what I mean? I think there's probably a lot to be said about spending more time raising money, having to take it in small incremental chunks, and eat for a few weeks, grow a little bit, and then go do more of that, taking more time than success. So maybe what was said earlier by one of my colleagues, it's time to raise more money, find more money, etc. I do agree with Jen. This is a filled cartridge model. It sounds like there are some states that loose flower is still a problem. There are going to be more that loose flower is a problem. So, I'd love to see you on the regulatory side enforcing that and driving that so that, you're the loose flower problem solver.
Thanks, F. Vinay?
Yeah, I mean, a lot has been said, but two areas, one is, I think just on, positioning, it wasn't clear, is this designed for, the guy that's been smoking for 15 years? Is it designed for the new user, that maybe tried an edible and, couldn't control the dosage, so just kind of positioning, who is this really for, right? Because you could argue the people that have been doing it for 10, 15 years are not going to put a device in their mouth, and it's not going to be cool with their friends, right? So, but with a new group of people, maybe it's fine. Maybe that's, high tech friends, whatever. And then the second piece, I think Jeff covered it. I missed out on, the whole sort of financial picture, what your margins can look like on these devices. I agree, not knowing the revenue split, for next year or this year, it's just some homework you should do in front of investors. But yeah, those would be my 2 sets of comments.
Thanks, Vinay. Okay, let's vote for the last time this afternoon. 1, 2, 3. We've got 3, 4, and 4 is 8, and 3 is 11, and 6 is 17, and 3 is 20. Okay, if you could check those scores for me, Will, and read them off, please.
Yes, of course. First we had Douglas Siegel with Zolt at 17, Leah Daniels with Alchemy League at 20, Simone Casson with Canis Capital at 19, Mike Dalemole with Mariposa Technology with 16, and Mike Simpson with Omura at 20. So we have a tie.
We got a tie for first. So congratulations to Mike and Leah. Leah, if you can come back, we'll bring you back in and give you a nice round of applause. Appreciate you guys being here and participating.
The two best. Fuck, yes.
Yes. Where is Leah? Here she comes. Congratulations, Leah. You tied for first. So
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Any comments, Mike, from you or from Leah about your experience here today?
Leah, you go first, please.
I just would like to say that this has been a long journey for me. I started this in Massachusetts back in 2018, and it's now 2021. And I'm definitely looking forward to making a difference and making a change in inclusion and equity in Massachusetts. So I thank you for the time you gave me to hear my pitch. And I look forward to having long conversations with you moving forward in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Hey, Leah, your enthusiasm. I wish I came across as enthusiastic as that. Guys, thanks very much as always. I'll take everybody's comments on board. We're going to be here for a long time. We're going to be fighting, and hopefully we're going to be winning. Thanks, guys.
Thanks to both of you and to everybody that participated, and Simone, who came in a close second with 19. And then in the first round, we had a four-way tie for first, Zolt, Alchemy, and Mariposa, as well as Omura. So congratulations to everybody that participated. I really want to thank all 6 judges for their time, their wisdom, their energy, their advice, just really wonderful. You know, you guys got thousands of dollars worth of consulting services for a small fee. So thanks to all of you. We're going to be doing this again 4 weeks from tonight on September the 9th. We've got some places, a few spots open. But it's, you know, if you're interested, please just email me, Max at People Connect Staffing, or Will or Steven at People Connect Staffing. We'd love to talk to you about getting you into the next cannabis pitch force. And if you're interested in startups, but non-cannabis related, we've got 2 seed round pitch forces coming up the next 2 Thursdays. Thanks to all of you. Stay healthy, stay well, stay strong. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Great stuff, everyone. Great seeing you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Good seeing everyone.
Bye.
Good job, Leah. Are we good to go?